Hey there, 4th grade. Today's mini lesson is on finding and identifying multiples of numbers. Identifying multiples of numbers. So please open to your next page. Mark this as your title. And after you've marked it, mark that page with your pencil. Close it up, and we'll be ready for some practice. Okay. So we go back to the last couple days here. So we've been talking about factors, and factors and multiples are somewhat related. So factors, remember we've talked about in a multiplication problem, we usually say, this is factor times factor equals product. And so if we're looking for, say, the factors of 15, we would look at 1 times 15, and those would be two factors of 15. Or we'd look at 3 and 5. Those would be two factors of 15. Multiples are similar. They still deal with multiplication, as you can probably tell from the name, multiply. So when I talk about, so those are the factors of 15. The multiples of 15 are the numbers I can get multiplying 15 by something. So for instance, 30 is a multiple of 15 because 15 times 2 is 30. 45 is a multiple of 15 because 15 times 3 equals 45. So factors are numbers you can multiply to get the number. And then multiples are numbers you can get by taking that number and multiplying it by something. So let's do some practice. So they both relate to multiplying, but slightly different. So here's 3 kind of common questions you get with multiples. So the first one is this. What are the first 5 multiples of 17 I picked? So the first 5 multiples of 17, you usually see your answer sometimes written like this. Say 17. And I'm looking for 5 factors. I'm going to give myself blanks for them. They're the first 5 numbers I can get by multiplying 17 by something. So like 17 times 1 is the first multiple. 17 times 2 is the second multiple. 17 times 3 is the third multiple. 17 times 4 is the fourth multiple. 17 times 5 is the fifth multiple. I'm going to have to do a good bit of multiplying here. 17 times 1 I know, that is just 17. The second multiple of 17 is going to be 17, oops, that's not how you do it. 17 times 2, that's 20, and 14, and 20 and 14 makes 34. That's the second multiple of 17. 34. Erase. 17 times 3 is the next multiple. 17 times 3. 3 times 10 is 30. Times 7 is 21, and that is 30, 50, 51 is the third multiple of 17. The fourth one is 40 and 28. That is 68. And the fifth one is 17 times 5, 50, 35, 85. So the first 5 multiples of 17 are like counting by 17. 17 plus 17 plus 17 plus 17 plus 17. 17, 34, 51, 68, and 85. And I can keep going on and on forever. 17 times 6, 17 times 7, 17 times 8, and so on. So that's often one question you get asked, is to just write out the first 4 or the first 5 multiples of a number. And there they are, always starting with the number itself. Another common question is, what is the 10th multiple of 17, or something like that. Like, rather than going all the way out to the 10th, just skipping right to the 10th. So just like kind of following our pattern, you notice the first multiple of 17 was 17 times 1, second multiple was 17 times 2, third multiple was 17 times 3, fourth multiple was 17 times 4, fifth multiple is 17 times 5, so the 10th multiple is going to just be 17 times 10. If I would keep doing that out all the way to 10, that's what I'd be calculating. And that one's actually pretty easy to do, because 17 times 1 is 17. Add the 0. So 170 is the 10th multiple of 17. One more common question you get asked is something like this. Is 187 a multiple of 17? That means, is there some way to do 17 times something and get 187? So I need to figure that out. So much like with multiplicative comparisons, I can find this out by doing the opposite operation of multiplication. I can divide and just try to see if I don't get a remainder. So let me do 187 divided by 17. Oof, this could be hard. So up from here I know 17 times 10 is 170. And that's going to leave me with 17. Oh, that's nice. 17 times 1, and I have no remainder. So that tells me that 17 times 11 equals 187, which means that 187 is the 11th multiple of 17. So that's what we do. If I had gotten a remainder here, if I divided it out and I got like 11 remainder 3, that would mean it is not a multiple. It's just not a number that I would have hit by multiplying by 17s. But there you go. So that's how multiples kind of work. It's just these are just three different common questions we ask. Let's do one together. Open your notebook up. And let's talk about the number 22. All right, so let's do those three questions again with 22. So the first common question is list the first 5 multiples of 22. And they are going to be 22 times 1, 22 times 2, 22 times 3, 22 times 4, and 22 times 5. Two choices here. I can keep multiplying, or I can just add 22, add 22, add 22, add 22. Either one works just fine, whatever you prefer. So I'm going to say that's 22 is the first one, 22 times 1. 22 times 2 is 44. 44 is the second one. 22 times 3 is 66. 22 times 4, just adding another 22. If you'd rather just add 22, that's fine. Is 88. And last but not least, 22 times 5. 5 is 110. 110. So those are the first 5 multiples of 22. If I were to keep going, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I also just might sometimes be asked to skip out there and just go straight to the 11th multiple of 22. And the 11th multiple of 22 would just be 22 times 11. That I'm going to have to work out. 22 times 11. Let's see, 1 times 2 is 2, 2 zeros, 10 times 2 is 20, 1 times 20 is also 20, 1 times 2 is 2, and that looks like 242. So there you go, 242 is the 11th multiple of 22. If I kept counting by 22s from here, from 110, my 11th number would have been 242. Last question is 272 a multiple of 22? So that means, is there some way I can do 22 times something and get 272. The way to tell is to do the opposite operation. So I want to know what to multiply by. So to find that, I can divide 272 by 22. So I'm going to go in easy. This is a hard thing to divide by, so I'm going to go in easy bits. I'm going to do like 22 times 10. 22 times 10 is 220. That leaves me with 252. I can probably in my head do 22 times 2 is 44. And that's going to leave me with 8. And I can't make any more groups of 22, so I got 12, remainder 2. So that means it is not a multiple. I can tell from here, 22 times 12, let me write that over here. If I was listing out my multiples, 22 times 12 would have been, let's see, 220 plus 44, 264. And then that means 22 times 13 would have been 22 more, so it would have been 286, but I never would have gotten 272. 272 is in the middle. So 272 is not a multiple of 22. I can't multiply 22 by anything and get 272. Because 22 times 12 is too low, 22 times 13 is too high. So that's 3 common questions about multiples and kind of how they work. Once you feel like you understand this example and the last one, and you have this one written down, you're all set, and we'll practice some more tomorrow. See you then.